Most people think the ones who try to bring them down are just negative, insecure, or jealous. That explanation is comforting and completely incomplete. Because if it were just insecurity, it wouldn't be so consistent. It wouldn't be so personal, and it wouldn't come from people who smile at you first. The real reason some people try to bring you down is much more uncomfortable. They are trying to restore psychological balance. Every person carries an internal story about who they are, how capable they are, and where they stand in the world. That story keeps them emotionally stable. It protects their ego. It tells them, "I'm fine where I am." And then you show up. You don't even have to be loud. You don't have to be successful yet. Sometimes you don't even say anything at all. Your discipline, your clarity, your refusal to complain, that alone is enough. Because your existence quietly asks a question they don't want to answer. If he can do this, why didn't I? And the human mind hates unanswered questions that threaten its identity. So instead of changing themselves, which requires effort, humility, and pain, they choose a cheaper solution. They try to lower you. This is not conscious most of the time. That's what makes it dangerous. They'll call it concern. They'll call it realism. They'll say things like, "Be careful," or "You're changing." But what they're really doing is trying to shrink the psychological gap between you and them. Social psychology calls this downward comparison, a defense mechanism where people restore self-worth by diminishing someone else rather than improving themselves. And here's the part most people miss. The more composed you are, the more self-directed you become, the more threatening you feel, even if you're kind, even if you're quiet. Because you are no longer participating in the shared excuses. You're not bonding over complaints. You're not validating stagnation. You're not playing the unspoken agreement of, "We're all stuck together." And when you break that agreement, you expose something in others they've been hiding from themselves. That's why the attacks are rarely direct. They come as jokes, as sarcasm, as subtle doubt planted like a seed. Because direct confrontation would require honesty, and honesty would force self-reflection. So they choose erosion instead. Now, most of you listening are probably thinking, so what do I do? Cut everyone off? Fight back? Prove them wrong? No. That reaction still gives them power. The strongest response, psychologically, is something colder. Detachment. When you stop explaining yourself, when you stop defending your path, when you stop seeking permission to grow, because the moment you explain, you imply they have authority over your direction. And they don't. Here's the final truth. People who try to bring you down are not your enemies in the traditional sense. They are mirrors of a future you refuse to accept. And that's why they're uncomfortable around you. Not because you're arrogant, not because you think you're better, but because your discipline highlights the cost of their avoidance. So if you've noticed people acting different as you've become quieter, more focused, more selective, take it as confirmation, not a warning. You didn't lose their respect. You outgrew the version of yourself that made them comfortable. And that was always going to make noise.